Hi, I'm Laura, this is Rebecca, and this is Bride Society.
We're talking about alternatives for a wedding photographer. So maybe for you a photographer is out of budget in the current climate, so we're thinking of maybe alternatives to a traditional wedding photographer, or maybe you're still trying to have a photographer but trying to work out how to make that happen within budgetary constraints, or indeed you're just looking for some extra ideas to have on top of your wedding photographer, like the official professional that's there. Don't get us wrong, we're very pro wedding photographers and think they can do a great job and a great asset to have at your wedding. We just know the economy is what it is and you might be looking for some other ideas. So with that in mind, we thought we'd try and help you out.
So if you would like to have a photographer but the budget isn't quite stacking up at the moment, there may be options to work around it. So the first thing you could see is if there's a particular photographer that you really like, who's maybe just out of budget or within reach but it's difficult, you could see if they have a payment plan option. So depending on how far in advance you're planning your wedding, there might be a period of time that they would allow instalments to be paid rather than big sums of money all either in one go or in like a deposit and then the balance due. You might be able to spread that cost over the period of time.
Yes. And also pay attention to detail. What's included in the package that they're offering you, or do they have different packages at different price points? For example, sometimes things like the wedding album is included in that package, but what you could do, which I did you do this as well?
Yeah, I did this as well.
Is have it without and create your own photo album yourself later on as you wish.
You could see about the possibility of hiring them for less time. So rather than having them from getting ready all the way up through to the end of the night, they might be willing to come for like the key parts of the day. So you might be able to have them just for the ceremony, some group photos, maybe a bit more depending on their flexibility. Now this is something you're possibly more likely to be able to have if you're getting married kind of not peak season, and maybe if you're having a weekday wedding or somewhere where there isn't as much of a chance that the photographer might be turning down like a full day's work for a shorter amount of time. But there might be some photographers who do offer that as a matter of course. So it's worth having a look around just to see if you can just get the key moments photographed by the professional.
Yeah, and it's also worth looking into maybe the possibility of a student photographer, maybe at a local college or university. Obviously, you might have to adjust expectations slightly because they're a student after all, you know, you have to maybe adjust for that. But maybe if you're happy with that situation, maybe that's a kind of good halfway house between the two things. They might be like looking to build up their portfolio, and in exchange you get some wedding photographs.
But if you decided not to go down the professional route, either for budget reasons or you just don't want a professional photographer, there are other ways you can get some photos of the day. So this could be letting your guests know in advance that you'd like them to take photos and share them afterwards. But I think in recent years these unplugged ceremonies have become so like a common thing, is oh yeah, you shouldn't take photos of the ceremony, that's what the professional's for. Well, forget about that. Most of your guests will probably have at least some sort of smartphone that takes a decent photo. Some might have like other cameras that they bring along. So yeah, in advance encourage your guests to take lots of photos, and you'll get to see some parts of the day that you might not have seen anyway from their perspectives.
Yes, and if you just want to make extra sure that there's some definite photos taken and of certain key moments, maybe go ahead and also nominate a few key friends, family, whoever that you know everyone's posted pictures online at some point. You have a general sense of who knows which way the lens points, like who's really bad at when they try and do the, you know the people. Like, I would not give this job to my husband. No, I don't think you would to yours. Like, you just know. Anyway, and you kind of got to also know which people are the ones that like, tend to go to events and like to take a lot of pictures. So maybe lean in and take advantage of those kind of things, and nominate those key friends who are maybe on the more reliable end, who maybe don't drink too heavily too soon in a day also, and let them know which key moments you want to make sure you get, and maybe assign those to the different ones so that they are also in some of the other person's photos and things, so nobody's kind of left out, nobody's kind of stuck behind the camera the whole day not enjoying it, etc, etc.
And it's good to maybe have a few people so the pressure isn't all on one person to make sure they get all those photos, so at least they can spread and share that pressure out a bit.
Yes. If one person loses their camera phone, someone gets the wine spilt over it, and you're like, no, that was all the all the pictures.
You might want to have some extras in the wedding, or as an alternative you could set up maybe like an Instax or Polaroid station.
So when you said have extras in the photos, it sounded like you were like hiring, like, you know, in like film and TV when they have extras to pad things out.
Hire some bridesmaids, hire some guests, hire some friends. Yeah, you could do.
Sorry, I know where you're going now. Do continue.
So you might have an old Instax or Polaroid camera lying around the house. And you could use this. We've had a video on our channel, so we'll link that as well to show how we kind of styled a little Instax guest book station. And so it's as easy as getting some film for the camera, making sure it's charged, and just leaving it with some instructions for how you want your guests to use it to get some fun instant photos from the day.
Yes, which can also turn into a guest book as well. So. But you'll see, if you go watch that video, you'll see. Or create your own kind of photo booth, or just sort of photo area. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the kind of prop thing, but you can totally do that too. So have, I say, with or without props, but you set up a tripod with a camera, or just with the attachment on, so people can put their own phones on there with like the remotes. They can stand back and take the pictures. You can even create some kind of backdrop to hang behind that sort of setup station. And yeah, props, no props, make your own props. You can buy pretty cheap kind of photo booth props, or just find the most random stuff you have around your house. You know, bring in a banana, like, I don't know, like your inflatable armbands, whatever you happen to have. Like, they can really be turned into quite fun photo props, low cost.
You could just provide a few selfie sticks to have around, and then people can take some selfies. Encourage people to take photos. You could even, depending on your budget, if you've got a GoPro or something like that, you could already have that attached to either a selfie stick or this GoPro attachment.
So I was picturing, when you said that, attaching it to a helmet of like a small child that's like running around this way.
Well, I mean, that's not a bad idea either. And capture some either photos or random video from the day even. Just have fun with it. If it's like an extra, you're capturing moments from the day.
And as well, kind of along those lines, I'm building in the kids thing where my brain went just then. Maybe getting some disposable cameras, which aren't as cheap as they used to be, but obviously still cheaper than the professional photographer. That's what you were thinking before. And you can do this with adults too, but maybe as a kids activity is kind of giving them like a photo challenge list. So you write, take a picture of X, Y, Z, and they have to cross them off and that kind of thing through the day. And so of the suits, of the rings, of the kit, whatever the kind of important things are that you quite like to have quite a few different pictures of. Again, encouraging the kids to do that, and also to turn them back in at the end of the night.
And we think the main thing with a lot of these is actually encouraging your guests to share the photos afterwards. So it's all well and good them coming along, taking loads of photos, but then never sharing them, so you never get to see them. You need to make it as easy as possible for your guests to share with you. So whether that's setting up an email account they can email, if there's various apps that you can have and then all the photos get put in that one place, if you're setting up a hashtag, if people and encouraging people to post online. Yeah, it's letting them know in advance that you really want to see these photos. If you're not having a professional photographer, maybe make that clear to them as well, so they know that your photos are not even more meaningful, but there isn't a backup of the other photos as well. So yeah, really encourage your guests to share.
Yeah, because I think there's been a definite shift I've noticed in the sharing of photographs in recent years. Partly because you were saying the unplugged thing, and I've heard it said a few times as well that, oh, please don't post any pictures on social media until we've posted our first professional one, or whichever they've chosen to kind of post first. And then by that point, people have kind of moved on a little bit, and then so forget or don't get around to posting theirs because it's not at the forefront of their minds anymore. So that delay kind of creates it too. So and also if you don't state that as a couple as well, for me when I'm there as guests, that causes me to hesitate, and I then wait until they've done it regardless of whether they've actually said to wait or not. So as Laura said, I think just being really explicit about it, encouraging, just making sure people do it, because people still take the pictures. That's the thing. It's the sharing part that seems to have taken steps backward. But
So yeah, there's some ideas for trying to get a photographer or alternatives for a photographer. We hope you found this really useful. Let us know in the comments if you've got any other ideas for alternative to photography, or just other ways of maybe getting professional photographer as part of your wedding. Give this video a like, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.